Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you pretty well.
Amazing.
So we could start.
I'm so happy it works.
Hello, everyone. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Decentralize Volume 4, the DeFi Expert Talks hosted by Fringe Finance. This podcast is available on Spotify, Google, and Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. My name is Konstantin Shirokov, and I will be your host today for a conversation with an amazing guest. Meet Polina, crypto girl, who is a host and social media lead of OffChain, the biggest offline Web3 community network in the world. Hi, Polina. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Hi, Konstantin. I'm very good. Thank you so much for hosting me today. I'm very excited to be here and I can't wait to dive deep into our conversation today.
Awesome. Could you please introduce yourself first to our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. So, hi all, I'm Polina. I work at Travala as a community manager and social media lead. And I also happen to be a host of OffChain podcast. And I've been doing social media for OffChain for over a year before I joined Travala. And I still play a huge part in OffChain, but it's mostly behind the scenes. I help organizing new chapters and connect people and is sometimes if I have sponsors they reach out to me first so I can guide them to the right place and that's how my role in off-chain looks like at the moment. Also, whenever we have Twitter spaces, I try to join from off-chain global account to spread the word and yeah, just attract new members, I guess, for these amazing opportunities to connect to people directly.
Awesome. Awesome. So how could you do so much things? Is it what like one person could handle all of that?
No, of course
Yeah.
not. Like there are so many people who are helping out. There are people who are making posters, you know. There are people who, of course, the hosts of the chapters, founders of different chapters. There are more than 200 off-chain founders like all over the world because each we have more than 70 chapters and some chapters were there before, but then founders moved on, so they're closed. But we still call them off-chain founder because I feel like if you were off-chain founder once, you deserve to have that title for a while. And
Yeah,
yeah, they're
could you please provide more insights into what is OffChain Global and what is its mission before we dive deeper into the details about the chapters and how it all structured?
Yeah, definitely. So some people, when they come to off-chain, they're very confused of what we do. And it's actually so simple that people start overthinking. But in the nutshell, it's the place where people can meet offline and talk about Web3, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and NFTs, everything that is connected to the Web3 space, basically. DeFi, GameFi, you name it. We have investors, founders, business development guys, programmers, newbies, people who know nothing about crypto and who just like bought a piece of Bitcoin maybe 2 days ago. We have all sorts of people. But in a nutshell, off-chain is a safe place where everybody is welcomed if they're interested to learn new things and expand their network.
And how has it all started? Who is the founder and where was the original chapter?
Also, legends say that the original chapters were in Shenzhen and Shanghai. They started at the same time. It was founded by Jonathan and Abel, two great guys who happened to live in China at the time. And there was a community, I think it was healthcare drinks or something like this, weird that it was healthcare and but anyway, and they decided to start doing this off-chain meetup dedicated to Web3 space. Because at that time, I mean, it was like 5 years ago, right? It was quite new. So if we feel kind of like, I don't know, not like underground, but we feel kind of nerdy when we talk about it now, imagine how it was 5 years ago. So yeah, that was the story of creation of chain and the original chapters. Like nothing special, just people gathered together and decided to do something together.
But it grew so big afterward. Yeah,
Yeah.
I imagine how people feel like 5 years, 6 years ago, and even earlier, because I was in the space and crypto. When you start talking about it, it was rather about trading, or it was considered a scam.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. By the way, I would like to listen to your story on Chain because we met through Chain, funny enough, like about a year ago. And yeah, I'd like to hear how you joined because I don't think you ever told me that.
My off-chain story is completely off-chain because I knew about some event. It was in Dubai from my friends and colleagues, and it was incredible. It was set up on the villa at Palm Jumeirah in the luxury neighborhood. So the people there were like VCs and private investors, founders all over the world, from USA, from Saudi Arabia, from United Arab Emirates. So it was both a great conversation, new connections, and awesome time. Swimming in the Gulf at night with great weather and great people. So my first experience was so outstanding that I decided to dive deeper and check what other chapters. And when I arrive to some new location, I'll always join the local community and try my best to visit all the events that are happening. And what was your story? How have you joined OffChain?
Yeah, so it was very weird. I lived in China at the time. Yeah. By the way, I think from your story, my favorite part is that you join off-chain in every place that you visit. Like if you go to Kuala Lumpur,
Yeah, that's right.
there, if you go to like any other place, you just find off-chain community there, you reach out to people and you immediately have lots of friends. Like I think that's the best part. Like I could not comment on that. Yeah, but my story was that I was in China and it was COVID time and I was very bored and I didn't know anything about blockchain at the time, but I wanted to invest money somewhere. And then I happened to meet a person who was running a chapter there, and I go to the first meeting and I couldn't understand anything what they're talking about. I still remember it was November 2021, I think, November 3rd. No, it was 20, I don't even remember. Yeah, November 2021. And it was so weird because I couldn't understand anything, even though like they spoke in the language that I understand. So I just go back home and I try to like learn about blockchain. I literally put like a piece of paper, a notebook, a pen, and I started writing down like what is blockchain, what is the transaction hash, and so on and so forth, like all the abbreviations. I go back to the meeting in 2 weeks and I'm like much more well prepared. And yeah, we just started from there. Then we started meeting every week because we started investing into different meme coins and IDOs. I mean, it was bull market, right? Everybody was hyped and we thought that we are going to the moon and we were pretty much partying every week. So my off-chain experience was so positive that it's like insane. It's kind of like yours. I was hooked from like the first meetup. I couldn't believe that you can meet smart people, like basically in the place where I lived.
Yeah, that's basically the reason why I reached out originally about this podcast, because I'm a fan personally. Can you share any success stories or something like this of in terms of fostering meaningful connections or contributing to the growth, except yourself in that case?
Okay, so we have a lot, like a lot of success stories. I'd like to talk about Kemal. Kemal is the founder of OffChain Istanbul, um, and she joined OffChain also not such a long time ago. But at the time, she was living in Istanbul and she just moved there and she didn't have a lot of friends. But she and other two people, they decided to start these meetups, and it was such a huge success that now like they have to find sponsors to book the venues because each meetup has like 150 or 200 people, and they are like they're forced to sell tickets, otherwise they're going to be too many people, you know. And that's amazing. And she also started her own company. She works in Web3 marketing, and like she made wonderful connections through off-chain, and it allowed her to network, and it also allowed so many people to have a space to come and connect. And yeah, apart I mean, I found the job through off-chain, right? My first, let's say, like job in the space, and there are a number of people who managed to find a full-time position and transition from non-crypto to crypto through off-chain. And I think that's what we're most proud of is when not when we are moving people like from Web 2 to Web 3 or something, but when we move people from like not from not related industries to crypto. It's quite amazing. um, yeah.
It's interesting how still in the era post COVID and completely digital, still it's so important to have networking offline, and it boosts so much the conversation and uh, the connection between people.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like it will never replace the online thing. Will never replace actually connecting one on one. Like no matter what kind of metaverse people are trying to create, good old like meetup at the bar will still be there. It's like something embedded in our culture.
Yeah, you have mentioned uh, overbooking of some of the meetings, and I remember one event uh, after crypto conference where in the bar I've spoken with an owner, and he said that the venue was booked for 100 people and around 300 came, and he was forced to buy more of alcohol, and his face was so he was not happy at all about that because he subscribed for providing free drinks and so on.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my God, that's really funny. Where was it again?
It was in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. No, Hong Kong is crazy. Yeah, yeah, and it's also crazy expensive. Poor guy.
And given the number of chapters and meetings, I'm pretty sure there were also some, crazy or funny stories that happened during the off-chain meetups. Could you share some?
Yeah, so I know some crazy stories, but I couldn't get approval to share them before this podcast. So I think I can only share my crazy story. Otherwise, I'm afraid some people will be upset. But yeah, when we had off-chain, we basically were partying till the morning, and like one time, we went so crazy that like everybody, and you have to imagine like these are people like 40, 50 years old, so like right there, like have families, and but everybody was dancing on the table at the bar, you know. And that was like the picture was so bizarre, you know, that it's just forever in my mind. It's like not the craziest story that you probably like expected to hear, but it's just super fun.
Yeah, and where was that?
It was in China, in Suzhou.
Mm. Yeah, we have. You have mentioned that chapter and Istanbul, and where are located the most active communities, in your opinion?
Oh, there, let me think, where our most active communities. Bali is pretty active. Um, it's um, it's pumping, I would say. Lisbon, of course, one of our most successful chapters. They're always they meet up regularly, and they're sponsors, they're speakers, and Pedro and Jose from Lisbon. They are making like they're doing amazing job in making this community very prosperous. In Kuala Lumpur, I think there is a great chapter, and it's also the group where like me and you met each other. So also before the DC in States was very active, but not maybe recently. But before they were also meeting quite regularly, and it was a strong community. Chicago, yeah, Chicago, of course. Tokyo is great. Singapore, they have meet up like regularly, maybe once a month, and they book also very nice venues, in the Marina Bay. Milan is amazing. George is the great guy, and he has his own venues, so it's very easy to do meetups there. Because in Europe, you if you have a huge number of people, you definitely have to agree with the venue in advance, and it's much easier for us if the founder has their own spot. Rome is starting in Italy, but the community is very strong, so I hope it will go well. So basically, like anywhere in Europe, Asia, US, you can always walk in and have some drinks and connect with people. We also have a number of chapters in South America, Australia, and Africa, but they are less frequent, and you'd like need to monitor when they're happening. But Europe, Asia, US are great.
Wow, so global coverage of your chapters.
Yeah, pretty much from Tokyo to San Francisco, and like with Paris in between. Like you name the country, I will tell you the chapter there.
And do you know many hosts and founders of the chapters?
Yeah. Like we have two global groups, like one for Chinese side in WeChat and for global part in Telegram, and yeah, we have over 200 founders. So Jonathan knows everybody personally. I know some because I helped organizing some of the first events in a number of cities. But yeah, I'm connected like with everybody. Maybe I don't know them personally, but they probably know me because I'm kind of trying to hold it together on the online front, right? The biggest challenge of our community is that we are offline, so we don't have like necessarily such a big online presence.
Yeah, but that is not something it was intended to be, right? It was intended more to be a network of off-chain events and locations. And what do you do to expand and incentivize the growth of the communities?
Yes, it's funny. When I was a founder on the founder level, I was just talking about it to all of my friends, and I was inviting them to join. And there was my friend who joined OffChain, and it inspired him to start coding, and he's still learning Python, and it's been 2 years. So if I was the founder, I was just mostly networking offline again, and promoting in different groups. Because I was always an expat, and if you're an expat in another country, you probably have groups of people like in your phone, like about everything, and you just post the announcements there in like party groups and museum groups and so on and so forth. And that's how I was growing. And now we are focusing. So the process looks like this: if you want to set up a new chapter, you cannot do it online, right? You have to have a person on the ground who will actually host the meeting. So first you have to find the person in that city, and it's you can do it through like various ways. You probably know somebody from that city already if you spend like as much time in the space as we are, or you literally can reach out through your network or through LinkedIn. Just put yourself on a display. If you want to connect with somebody from another place to do something there, you just basically need to reach out to those people. As simple as that.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
And how do that's how they promote that on the local level? And what do you do to incentivize, the growth of the new chapters?
Yeah, so we
It,
focus on two levels. First is offline promotion and online promotion. And sometimes chapters grow organically. Um, so if a person, for example, they were traveling, they joined the city, they liked it a lot, and then they want to have that in their own city, in my opinion, it's the best because then they like can really understand what OffChain is about. And otherwise, if you want to have a chapter in your city, just reach out to us and we can start talking. We are also creating right now guidelines for the founders and recommendations. So it's going to be like a comprehensive guidebook on how to start the OffChain chapter in your city, which I think is incredible. And yeah, we have all logos ready. So if you want, like, you can print the banners, and some chapters do like amazing like merchandise thing where they put the OffChain logo on like their laptops and stickers. And we even did these metal cards for writing down your seed phrase. So just a metal card with like OffChain logo on one side and a seed phrase on another side. Yeah, there's so much stuff, to be honest.
Sounds interesting. When I visited the last event here locally in Thailand, the founders they used an Eventbrite, and they also promoted the event through Instagram and in local Telegram groups. What are other tools that founders use, and what are, in your opinion, the most effective, except for sharing in the groups like museums and your local friends there?
I would say the most effective tool, surprisingly, is LinkedIn, because LinkedIn allows you to directly reach out to the person who is in the city. Because in LinkedIn, you can see the location and you can filter people by location. And if like initial outreach in the city, I think we advise most of the founders just like check their LinkedIn network and reach out to key people in the city, because it always works like this. If you get like a person who is already in Web3 space, they know a lot of people, and then basically it's the word just like spreads by itself. People like talking.
Yeah, that's true. I believe in that event, much more people came, from the network effect rather from, the direct advertisement.
It normally happens like that. Yeah, yeah.
And how is, I do understand how off-chain is structured, but how do you veto the new chapters? Is there something like a trial period for the new founders?
Oh, yeah. So it's a tricky moment, right? Because um, like it's hard to work with people sometimes, and everybody has different ideas. And sometimes, yeah, unfortunately, we have to close the chapters for various reasons. And I don't want to like go into the conflict side of things because it's I don't think it's appropriate like to share. But sometimes we have to close the chapters. Most of the time, it's just happening because the founders were very active in the beginning. Then, after they move on, whether they find a new job that is more challenging, or they move to another city, or they just lose interest, then if we cannot find anybody from the community who can take care of the chapter, we unfortunately have to close it and just maybe keep it on standby until we find the right person. Because every chapter, like they have to have at least one person who is dedicated and who can organize events, because we cannot organize events if we are not in that city. It's just not possible.
Got it. Completely makes sense. And you have a global network of the communities with the Web3 people. And is there any business model associated with OffChain Global? Or do you leave it up to the local chapters, or is it strictly non-profitable?
Yeah, so right now there is no business model. I keep we keep thinking about it, but right now we are in a growth stage, and everything like what we do is on pure enthusiasm. Local chapters do have sponsors, and they mostly sponsor the events, and we do not directly earn money from them. Sponsor events in terms of, for example, if you need a venue for, let's say, 50 people in Milan, like it's going to cost you, So you need to have sponsors for those kind of events. And sometimes we also like manage to offer free drinks to people that come. I unfortunately have never been on the chapter where I had free drinks. I wish I did. But yeah, so that's how it looks like.
Yeah, you need really to to come down to that. But free drink is a requirement for a meetup. It will be one of the most productive tools, right? To
Yeah,
to
exactly.
promote it.
True, true, true. It's like this. If you have an online event, like offer money. If you have an offline event, or offer like free drinks, and you'll get like a number of people to show up. I'm joking, of course, but unfortunately, like sometimes it's the card that you have to play.
Yeah, and you are also the host of Off-Chain Podcast. Uh, could you tell more about that? Who do you invite? What is the purpose of that?
Exactly. So how I like to say is we like to provide the opportunity for our members to speak to the top voices of the industry, and we have very diverse list of guests. We had the CEO of Centralized Crypto Exchange. We had a founder of a meme coin who don't want to dox themselves, and like we still don't know who the guy is actually. And we had the I don't know, Justin Sun, the crypto billionaire, the founder of Tron, and now he bought Hobby and so on. We had
Yeah, I think you know him pretty well, right?
uh, well, not really well, but yeah,
No?
we
Okay.
the main goal for the podcast is to um, first of all show the community that everybody has their own story and everybody is on their different timeline, and we want to provide the insights into people's thinking, and we want to provide the opportunity to learn directly from those people, because we structure the conversation so everybody can understand. We normally do not script questions in advance. It's just a free discussion, and we prefer the natural flow of conversation. And sometimes the discussion can have unpredicted turns, and it's becoming like very heated if we have polar opinions on something. Yeah, but overall, I love podcasts a lot because it's a great opportunity for me as a person to connect with those individuals.
Yeah, sounds so interesting. I think the lack of some, confrontation in the podcast is what makes them boring sometimes because it is always like, wow, so great idea, and you're doing a good job. Sometimes, bad ideas need to be confronted, and even on the podcast, it's really interesting to hear such a conversation. Could you point out to the most, interesting episode in your opinion that you have hosted?
Uh, I don't have like my favorite, but I think the conversation with Josh from Origin Protocol was very interesting, and we depending what you like, because the topics are very different. Somebody who likes like to know more about legislation, for example, they will listen to the podcast where we discuss regulations in crypto. So I think it's very personal, and you can just see the names and decide yourself. But I think it's very interesting what you said about that like we shouldn't praise people on the podcast, right? Because you have a podcast, I do the podcast, and now basically our whole conversation was that we are learning about off-chain and we are very happy to learn about it. But if I'm pretty sure if we had a heated discussion, like you would say that like off-chain is just like the worst community ever and like try to prove me that it's actually good, that would be probably like more exciting. But again, like you start thinking like, is it appropriate to do so? Like, why do we need to like go for the hype instead of just for actually like meaningful connection? And I feel that in social media right now, there's too much of this content that they're trying to make drama out of nothing. And I appreciate that there are still like spaces where just people don't do it and they just appreciate the topic and they can listen to that without being tricked into like having strong feelings.
Yeah. I would definitely say, I would make a drama about off-chain if it wasn't actually a great idea and a great, community. So I'm honest here and not, praising just for praising.
I see. Okay.
I'm looking ahead. What are the future plans and goals for off-chain?
Yeah, so our aspiration is to raise the community to 100 chapters around the world, and it's going to be that milestone that is very significant. So yeah, the future plan is 100 chapters of off-chain globally.
So good, so good. I don't have any more questions, but we have one of the guests who has requested to speak.
Oh yeah, sure, bring them up.
Yeah, he just dropped off. Oh no, you can speak, Mr. Godwin. Your mic is muted, by the way.
Okay, can you hear me? Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, I just came into the space now, and I love what you're discussing about growing communities. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and I love it. And I would like to, I just came into the Web3 space like a year ago, and I love everything that is actually thriving in this space. And I would like to help in any community that you take me into to help you grow the community. I've really had some experiences in some communities, so I would also like to contribute my value in growing communities. Like yesterday, I've written some threads for some communities, and that's what I do, to gain more experience in the communities. Thank you.
So, is it like you're looking for a job?
Yeah, you say what?
Are you looking for something like a moderator position or community lead?
Okay, yeah, something of that nature.
And do you have a question to Polina?
You say what?
Do you have any questions to Polina?
No, I don't have any questions right now, but as time goes on,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
okay, yeah.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, by the way, off-chain, we have in Telegram, we have off-chain jobs, so definitely should join. There's more than 1,000 people, and I know people who found a job through that group. So you can just post what you're looking for, and hopefully some people will reach out.
We have one more guest. Yeah. 10-8, you're on stage.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, guys. I had a reminder for this space because I saw OffChain was speaking and then completely blanked out on it, but couldn't miss the opportunity to ask Paulina a question. I mean, I guess you were probably already discussing this, but I want to know. What have you seen to be the difference in building off-chain communities versus on-chain, right? So like IRL versus online. What are some of the interesting differences you've noted, and how can people build better IRL meetups or events?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you so much. Like I have to probably pause for a bit and think about it. Um, I think that uh, you have to understand that in real life, meetups they cannot scale as fast as the online communities can, and it requires definitely much more effort to organize offline meetup rather than online. So you can create like an online AMA or Twitter Spaces, you post it online, and you have like a bunch of people show up. But for offline meetup, people they invest their time, right? And like they have to move somewhere, they have to go. So probably they have more questions about it. Like nobody ever reached out to me online and asking like, oh, can I join this AMA? Is it okay to join this AMA if I have like nothing to say, you know? And for for offline communities, people are sometimes shy and like they would like to learn about crypto, but it's very challenging to go to a new space that you don't know nothing about. Like I was terrified the first time when I was joining off-chain because I didn't know anything about anything basically, and I that's why I understand these people very well. And you just need more time for offline events, and you need to be much more compassionate, I would say, and friendly to really make feel everybody welcomed. Because when you have diverse amount of people offline, you as a host, you have to make sure that everybody feels welcomed. And sometimes it's not easy because I heard stories about chapters where a group of people just becoming arrogant, and that's why like people come to the event but they are very disappointed because they didn't feel like they belong there, you know. And so hosts actually they sometimes have to like literally work, make sure that everybody have something to talk about and everybody feels comfortable. So that's the biggest difference, that sometimes if you organize online events, you don't realize that how hard it is actually organize something offline.
I love that. I mean, I'm very passionate about meeting people in person. It's what I'm trying to do with my project, and I don't want to shill that here, but I want to focus more on the fact that off-chain has. I mean, despite you saying it's hard to grow, you guys are about 20, 30,000 people from what I know, right? So you've encountered a lot of these issues. And now moving slightly away, and I'm sorry if I'm hogging, the space, and I'm not sure how long this is going on for, but yeah. So talking about events, there's been definitely a very negative vibe to a lot of the events happening in the space, right? For good or for bad, in the sense some events, yes, were run terribly, some events were run well, but there was still a lot of criticism. So, what do you think it takes to run a good event? you did mention, yes, the host, but do you think it has something to do with the speakers? Do you think it has something to do with the community or the attendees that come in, right? Do you think it has something to do with maybe interesting activations, interesting activities that are happening? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good question. The if you have an offline event that with people who like nobody knows each other, right? And probably will be a good idea to plan something like the introduction part, for example, and little activity to get to know each other. Literally, like a most simple game where you take some pieces of like tissues, you know, and then how many tissues the person have. That's how many sentences they have to say about yourself. You know, like think about literally games from kindergarten to play with adults to break the ice. And in off-chain, most of the time, people somehow are familiar with each other already. So we don't necessarily need to start from scratch. And I do believe that both formats, when we have speakers and if we don't have any speakers and people just free to talk to whoever they want, are very good. The important thing is also the venue, you know, because if the venue is overcrowded, for example, or opposite, like feels very like spacious, and it's obviously that there's less people than it could be. So need to keep the balance because venue plays a big part. If you have speakers, you're probably not going to do it at the bar, right? Because, but at the same time, if you don't have speakers, you probably don't want to rent like a lecture room, and you would probably better idea would be go to the restaurant with ability to move in between the tables. So it really depends on each case.
Fantastic. And I have just one last question, and I promise I'm going to shut up. And it is a personal.
Yeah, feel free.
Thanks, brother. So it is a personal question. Now, I'm I'm not extrovert. I'm not introvert. I'm so on something in the middle. Let's just put it right. I'm good on one-on-one conversations, but the biggest issue I have when I go for these is how do I get into a certain conversation that's already happening, right? So yes, let's say there are no icebreaker activities. I don't know anybody. People don't know me. So how have you navigated? Like you said, it was scary for you in the beginning as well, which I'm sure you've got better at. So, what has been your approach to it?
Oh yeah, it's a good question. It comes to your social skills, right? You navigate conversation first, like what I do if I don't know anything about the conversation that is happening, and I just stand like next to people. I literally just stand next to people and listen, and then I ask a question, like that simple as that. And uh, you might like the people, they're just afraid to be stupid, they're afraid to look stupid, and we tend to think that we have to know everything, and the truth is that we just cannot know anything, everything. And we have to understand that, like, nobody cares about you. Like, literally, nobody gives anything about you. So you just need to go and talk and just be yourself and be respectful and be grateful. And people love giving their advice. You know, you are asking me question, and I'm happy that you're asking me question, because it's natural to be happy when you're talking about the thing that you're interested in, and when another person is interested in it, and you can just start from there. Yeah, so definitely join like off-chain event somewhere. I don't know where you're based, but yeah, if you have a chapter nearby, definitely visit and connect.
So good. Yeah, it really makes you feel important when people are interested in your opinion. And we have one more question. DeFi Farseer, you are on stage. Yeah, you're muted, by the way.
Great. Oh, hi, we can hear you.
Hey, yeah, I just want to say it was a really nice conversation, nice to listen to. And in the when I was listening, found my local off-chain group, so that was cool to get a vision into that. So yeah, thanks for taking the time. It was good stuff.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, everybody. And as a community manager, reminder, please follow each other, every account who is here, and I'll try to follow you back from my personal account. And it was a pleasure. It's really nice when people are connecting, and I strive for global crypto adoption. So let's bring it together.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Polina. It was Decentralized Volume 4, the DeFi Expert Talks hosted by Fringe Finance. Listen to this podcast on Spotify, Google, and Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. And see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.